Boss design and Path of Exile 2. Oh man, it's getting me hyped for Path of Exile 2.
I think honestly making bosses in Path of Exile 2 is the most satisfying part of the job. It is so enjoyable from start to end. Even after it's gone out, it's satisfying. I think if I could choose to do anything
I fought this boss
full time, that would be the single thing.
The bosses are so good in PoE 2.
Bosses in Path of Exile 2 come about two major ways. You obviously have the more traditional approach where you create a narrative and you design a boss around that narrative.
No noose this time.
This guy was hard to beat at the end of Act 1. He kept glitching out when we were trying to fight him.
The second way, which I think is something that can be very unique and create some of the more interesting encounters, is letting the creative genius of our artists do what they need to do.
That's such a cool way of doing it. Be like, design something that visually looks awesome, and then you build the boss around it, as I'm assuming we're saying, like, let the artists have free reign.
They can come up with something completely abstract, and this is how you get some of the most awesome things, because all of a sudden it can be something with 100 tentacles, or 9 limbs, or no limbs, or 1,000 teeth, or none, and obviously things that aren't even in my imagination.
Oh, this looks like the supporter pack that has the snakes coming out of your back, and it's sort of this gold style. That looks very similar. Can't wait to play the mercenary class.
Well, a boss in Path of Exile 2 ultimately is the culmination of decades of experience, making hundreds, if not thousands, of bosses in its predecessor, taking all that knowledge together, and puts it in a package that delivers the best of what could possibly be of boss encounters in an action RPG environment with bosses that are utilizing Souls-like mechanics.
He called it... That's interesting. He actually does straight up say Souls-like mechanics.
Despite the fact there's over 100 bosses, and more to come, a lot more to come, every single boss fight is completely unique, hand animated from scratch. It is designed from scratch, it is balanced from scratch, and it doesn't reuse a single asset in our library or anything like that.
Hell yeah. I love that they make it where the fire goes along and like pushes alongside the edge here. It has some momentum on it.
One of the main challenges balancing boss fights in Path of Exile 2, especially compared to its predecessor, you have to, in a single attempt, reduce the boss from full life to 0 in order to then progress through.
Can't just pour them out.
If the player cannot defeat them now, then they're stuck. Which helps in many ways because it makes the bosses feel so much more satisfying to kill once you do overcome it and learn it.
AKA get good.
It is very, very important to us that Path of Exile bosses, mechanics, especially around telegraphing, feels fair to the user, as opposed to them being cheated out of something when they happen to die. We want to make sure that hitboxes are accurate, and of course, when something hits you, it feels like it hits you. It ultimately makes it feel that much more satisfying when you kill it, and you feel that much more pride when you are able to overcome something difficult, knowing that
that boss right here, this one, the Colossus, they said they were going to like retune this one because all the monsters, like there were monsters leading up to this boss. And when you fight this boss, the boss itself was like easier than the actual monsters because you would get one shot by like these floating wisp things that are just, you just get shit on. And then you walk up to the boss and the boss is like super easy to defeat. So they're going to retune this guy.
Knowing that the game hasn't robbed you of this thing.
Pretty cool though. He like breaks apart the arena.
At the end of the day, you want to see that healthy balance where some people are struggling, and you want to see that moment, that second-hand moment where someone overcomes that challenge and is so happy for doing so. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Hell yeah, dude. Oh my god. November, please. Hurry up, November. Dude, I am so excited for Path of Exile 2. The bosses, for me, are probably the best bosses out of any ARPG I've played. When I was playing through this, I was surprised how enjoyable they actually are. I think they're going to piss a lot of people off because the game's not easy playing through the campaign. Like, it's more difficult than I think people are going to assume. So a lot of people are going to download this game and try to smash their way through it and get their ass handed to them, which personally I love. I remember the first play test we did. There were people that couldn't defeat the very first boss, the worm, so they just straight up quit. Like in the play test, dude. Like we flew to LA for this. And people were just like, can't beat the worm, I'm done. Oh, man. Yeah, these bosses are going to kick some ass.